Ya van días y varias semanas.
He hasn't given no response, and it's been days, and it's been weeks, and he What do you think, Sarah, this canyon right here?
It's absolutely incredible. I haven't been to Tijuana in a lot of years, and seeing how wide open it is. I mean, I don't know if you could turn the camera around and show everyone just how wide open it is. It's incredible.
A couple of questions. So. Rashida, what is your opinion on the massive child trafficking that is happening? Y espero logren su objetivo de la justicia a su país. Luchen por su país. Say the best sacrifice for your country. Están bloqueando el acceso. ¡Viva! La Policía Federal o la autoridad nos está deteniendo el acceso y nos está deteniendo el paso para poder cruzar hacia el Zócalo, señores.
How's everybody doing? God bless everybody that is watching. God bless our country of Mexico, our city of Tijuana, and God bless the United States of America, and God bless Cuba. Liberen a Cuba del comunismo. Free Cuba from the tyranny of communism, people. Today we have a really special guest. Before I do that, please do me a favor. For God's sake, censorship, it is horrible, man. Horrible today. And if you guys can share this video, we're live at Facebook, and also we are live at YouTube. If you can share this video so we can break these algorithms. I'm checking right now on YouTube how everything is on YouTube. For God's sake, like, this is just what is wrong with the things, man, and nowadays and in social media. But if you can, guys, help me out sharing this video. This is a really important interview that I wanted you guys to be part of. Because these are historical people that they have lived a long life, and ultimately they know the history about what is going on right now in Cuba, also what is going on right now in politics inside of the United States of America, also what it is the expectation of how it is going to change. This is a really prepared lady, which she has been plus years in politics in the part of Puerto Rico. She is an ex-senator of Puerto Rico. She is a medical doctor, and she's still practicing, as being a medic. She is, it's just a history. It's just a whole history. If you are just talking specifically to this, young lady, as I am going to refer to her as his young lady, I want to bring her on. And if you guys can help me out before we start, buy me a coffee is on top of the link. If you guys like to contribute to our independent reporting, buy me a coffee. It's on top of the link. Also, we are live at Facebook, and we are live at YouTube. So I will bring on Ms. Miriam Ramirez, an ex-senator of Puerto Rico and a medical doctor. Here she is on the screen. I want to thank you so much, Ms. Miriam Ramirez, to be on my platform today. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And, you know, I was just 80 about 2 weeks ago, but I still feel like there's a lot of me ahead yet. So I'm going to be around for.
80.
I have had
Wow, 80. You don't even. Wow.
I have had an exciting life. My grandmother, she lived till she was 104. So those are the people out there who want me to get out of the way soon. They're going to have to wait for a little bit. You know, it's going to be a long ride.
104. Wow. But
Yeah.
you're 80 right now. You look really young.
Thank you. But listen, I have lived a very exciting life. I happen to be an only child in the army when I was born. And I have lived so many places. I started out in Puerto Rico, but then I lived in New Jersey for a few years. Then my dad was transferred to Europe right after the Korean War, and I lived in France. I went to high school in France. As a matter of fact, the high school in France, which was made for the dependents, actually English, really remarkable. Then I went to pre-med school in Barcelona. Then I finished my pre-medical studies in Munich. And I arrived there when still the concentration camps were just as Hitler left them. That was very impressed me a lot. I think that probably impressed me more than anything else. How leaders who are usually have achieved their positions because the people support them. I mean, they didn't come from heaven. They were people like you and I, who climbed the ladder, and the people vote for them or elect them or put them where they are, so that they're thinking they're going to get a better life. And then one day those leaders destroy the people. Hitler destroyed the people. Um, Cuba has been destroyed by the people they trusted. The people they trusted that they were going to have a better life. And the thought of that, and finding a way to stop that, has been a challenge to me. And that's how I came into politics by chance. It was the 1980 elections, and Reagan was running for office. Carter was in office, and Vice President then Bush. He was just a former official of the administration, were running for office. And I had been very disappointed with the way Carter handled some of the problems that were going on in the world. So I thought, nah, they're not going to elect another Democrat. They're going to look for somebody conservative. And it can't be Reagan. He's a movie star. I mean, we had a peanut butter, now a movie star. No, it's got to be Bush. Well, it happened to be Reagan, but he selected Bush as vice president. And the most wonderful thing, looking back on it now, I mean, that was 1980. The most wonderful thing happened to me because I was catapulted to the White House. Bush was very, very, very grateful of people who helped him out. I helped him out in Puerto Rico to win. I made him win that primary, which was kind of hard, even though it was a small island. And it helped him to get, to be vice president and eventually president. And I have to admit, my first years, or the first year, knowing these people was very exciting because I got like VIP invitations for the inaugural, and I got invitations for dinner in the White House and cocktails, and it was like Cinderella. I mean, I was like, my husband was alive then. He died from cancer some years after that, but it was like, oh my God, this is like something I can't believe. Well, I did believe, and then one day I was just having some thoughts about how did this happen to me? I mean, this is something that doesn't happen to people just like, in a year. And then I figured like maybe God has something in mind for me to do. And that's when I became like a fierce fighter for getting Puerto Rico to get all the benefits that you can get as a U.S. citizen. Loving as I do the system in the United States and everything that it stands for, I put my whole life into it, although I did have to, work at the same time in my medical things. But every minute I had, and then literally, the White House held my hand and showed me how to work in Congress and talk to people. And I had a chance at those levels to be on face to face with people like Mitch McConnell. As a matter of fact, I flew with Mitch McConnell to San Salvador when they were having elections with Cristiani. So it was like a Cinderella story, but I really just switched all the glamour and all that to become a pest, pushing for Puerto Rico statehood, pushing for equality for Hispanics, for Puerto Ricans in the United States. And I'm still at it. I'm still doing it. And also, while we were living in Spain, My father was commanding officer of a small base in the southern part of France. And he used to like to go to Spain and visit on the weekends. We would drive maybe I don't know how many hours and go to San Sebastian. And we were checking into the hotel. This was something we did every so often. My mother loved to go to Spain. And we'd come back in a weekend or so. And I remember my father in the lobby hearing the news. I mean, this is creepy, but I remember that distinctly. I can see myself standing next to him in the lobby checking in and hearing from the guy in the lobby, Fidel Castro has taken over Cuba. And I remember my father making a face like, oh, that's bad news. And I was already like 15. And I said, Ed, why are you saying I don't like that guy. That's not gonna be good. You wait and see. Well, he was right. He was right. Later after that, he became an attaché at the Spain, and that was way after that because I was already going to medical school. And in the embassy, he was in charge of receiving the Cubans that were leaving the country, the ones that got out at the beginning, that and mostly it was like women and elderly people and children, and the husbands stayed behind. And I remember it was very painful. I mean, we got a chance like Christmas that they were there for Christmas. My father would be handling their transfers to go to the United States. And it was something like spectacularly sad to see these people leaving their families. And my dog started. he got
I wanted to
excited.
ask you a question.
But anyway,
I wanted to
that guy
ask you a question. Now,
eventually.
we have
And
a really
are we having a
yeah. I
little
wanted to
trouble?
ask you a question, Ms. Miriam. Wanted to ask you a question before we go a little bit more further.
Hmm.
You know, your history for Puerto Rico. It's as long as the time in politics. You know a lot about what is going on in interior in the in Puerto Rico and the island. Ultimately, you know the story about what is going on right now with Cuba, and it is a lot of people are just understanding right now. I had a guest, that she was a migrant from Venezuela. She migrated to Miami. Now she's in Miami. This has been existing for the longest of time. It's been 62 years of dictatorship of Fidel Castro. And you were telling me a story right now. Then when Fidel Castro used to come to the mountains, people used to kiss his feet, kiss his hands like he was a god to all
Exactly.
these people. And it
Exactly.
is a thing that you told me that is really important is that how, on the West Hemisphere, we're not accustomed to this kind of situation, which are happening. But in Europe, the people in Europe are accustomed to take, to fight against dictators, to fight against, the dictatorship, to fight against these radical people. What is your take on what is happening right now in Cuba, and if you think that they are going to accomplish freedom?
Well, I think they did the first step, and it's a very courageous one because look at how they don't have any weapons. And somewhere I heard my father talking about it. My father used to talk to me a lot, and it scares me because I see in the United States a movement to defund the police, and that almost started before they even started talking about other things. I think the first, even before Black Lives Matter and all these things that they were doing, they started talking immediately about defunding the police. And I specifically remember that the first thing dictators did in the world and in the United and in Europe was defund the people. The people could not have weapons. That is why it's the Second Amendment. That is why it's there because that was so important to them that it was more important than even making the government. And when I saw it happening in the United States now, when we were talking about whether Trump was good or bad, and they didn't like him or they liked him, and whether Black Lives Matter because I don't know some incident occurred with Floyd